We're going to move on to the next topic, and the next one is about crime and Garda resources, particularly in Gorton, the South Galway area. And the question is coming from Frank Murray over here on my left. Frank, if you'd like to table your question.
Thanks, Martin. Well, I'd like to welcome all the candidates here tonight who have attended, first of all. The other thing I'd like to, and maybe everybody in the room would hear as far as our crime is concerned, the two Gardaí 3 weeks ago were seriously injured. Garda Sharon Casserly and Garda Peter Murda. I'd like to wish them all those two a speedy recovery. But those people were on the line of duty protecting our homes about 3 weeks ago. So I'd like to wish them before I say anything else. Cutting costs in Garda resources has had an enormous impact on all small towns and rural villages. Gort Garda Station has had several rural stations closed, with Kilcolgan and Kilcreast being the latest victims. It has also taken too long for Templemore to open after 4 years being closed. With the current deficit of 1,700 Gardaí since its closure, 2012, it is clear that Gardaí response is now much slower than before. At the same time, while response is slow, Gort has further problems with quick access for the escape route on the motorway for criminals. The downgrading of the Garda station and the removal of our superintendent last year has had a disastrous effect in our area. Our mart was ransacked recently. My own premises was ransacked January 12 months when raiders came with sledgehammers to my back door and did €10,000 worth of damage. Many struggling businesses have been burgled and isolated farms are now being targeted by thugs. People live in fear in their homes at day and night. If a Garda car is required to bring a prisoner to, say, Limerick prison, we have no available car in the region, as the area is too large and any response could take up to an hour to arrive at an incident. There is no deterrent for the criminal. Bail laws must be looked at and reformed. My question is, why has the government left our community so vulnerable? And if you are elected, what is your commitment to rural policing within our area over the next 12 months?
Templemore, as many of you know, has reopened and we're in the process of hiring 600 extra Gardaí. It's a big regret, and it should be a regret of successive governments, that it was closed in the first instance in the last government term, and in our government term we managed to reopen it, which I think is very, very important, because the amount of fear that's pervading rural Ireland is quite astonishing. And I've had numbers of people contact me over the course of the last few years about the kind of ransacking of their local communities that was going on. And as a former barrister, I feel very, very strongly on this. And I actually was on a primetime debate some time ago against a High Court judge who would have a very, very liberal view when it comes to this issue. I think there's a big problem with sentencing in this country. I think that concurrent sentences should not be allowed to happen, where two sentences can run together at the same time. I think consecutive sentencing should be there as a deterrent. And my commitment, if elected to the Dáil, is that I will draft legislation to ensure that mandatory sentences apply to any criminal that crosses the threshold of your home.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Thank you. Right, could we move on then to, who did I pick? Michael, please. Michael Fahey. If you could respond to that, thank you. Just before you start that, Michael, I keep interrupting you. We'd like to welcome your other independent colleague here, Mr. Kenny. So if Sean, if you'd like to come on over this side, maybe grab that stool. We'll make him do a bit of work for himself. So if you can pop up here, and is that all right? He'll only shadow a little bit of you. Is that all right? That's okay. That's great. All right, Michael, if you'd like to respond to that, thank you.
Thank you. I have to say that I was totally taken aback and totally disappointed last year. I suppose the years are flying. It's now almost 2 years since the superintendent was not replaced here in Gott. And as far as Gott Station goes, I compliment the Gardaí for their work there. But to be honest, it's only a branch station at the moment. The facts are that Gott Garda Station has been demoted and there is no superintendent here, only one in Loughrea. I have to say here tonight that if I am elected, I will fight for the Minister for Justice to put back a superintendent here in Gott, where there was one since the foundation of the state. Gurumahal.
I can't remember who actually asked the question because I'd like to look.
Frank, over there.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for the question you've asked. I think you've actually nailed it, all the different issues that are affecting everybody in rural communities in relation to rural Gardaí, or the lack of rural Gardaí. I think the closure is one thing, but the lack of boots on the ground is another thing, and it is a Fianna Fáil policy to increase the number of Gardaí back out on the beat again. Another part of it we would also need to look at as well is the Gardaí cars that are available, because you are actually sitting, when the motorway is opened, you're going to have an in and out exit. So the crime rate, while it might be bad at the moment, God knows what it's going to be like in the future. And I don't wish to scaremonger, but that is what you're looking for here, sitting off the edge of a motorway. The other thing as well that has happened with the joint policing is that they have installed some security cameras, I know, in a particular estate around Gort here, which has been fought long and hard. I think more of those security cameras off the exits of motorways would give some people in the towns themselves, but people living in rural Ireland, they're afraid to open their doors.
Thank you very much.
First of all, I'm on the record. I was involved in Galway County Council on the Joint Policing Committee, and I resigned from that committee in protest against the closure of rural Garda stations and the downgrading of the stations like Gort. That's on the record, and I did that 2 years ago. I was heavily criticised for it, but the reason I did it was because I think it was a terrible decision for rural Ireland and for Galway East to be doing things like that. Rural Garda stations and the presence of Gardaí is a preventative measure. Their presence in the communities prevents crime. Fact. It is a lot easier to prevent crime than to try and solve crime, and it's a lot cheaper. This talk about recruitment of the Gardaí and the opening of the Garda training in Templemore, it's good news. But at the moment, the number of people who are being trained is far less than the people who are retiring each year. So we have to increase the numbers going in so that we actually increase the numbers on the ground. And I want to say one other thing.
Okay, no, sorry, thank you. Your minute is up. Thank you very much. Okay, asking 4 questions of 4 different topics. Those 4 topics it's mandatory that you answer them. Each candidate gets 1 minute to answer the question. There will be a bell to remind them. If they pass the minute, I will give a nod to John over there and your microphone will be turned off. So that's how we're going to move on. So that's how we will run through it. This meeting isn't going to go on and on and on over the same topic over and over again. Fianna Fáil is also running candidate Councillor Anne Rabbitte, who is based in Porthomana in East Galway. While she is relatively new to politics, entering the race for the recent local elections, she is seen to be a viable contender for an area that has experienced a serious lack of resources and representation since the recession. Will she gain support in Gort this time round? Councillor, you're very welcome. TD Kieran Cannon. Very welcome. Right, who's left?
Good evening, everybody. First of all, I'd like to wish the best of luck to all the candidates on Friday. My question is based around industry and commerce in Gort. I run my own consulting engineering business in the town for the last 15 years. And I'm going to focus in on one particular aspect of running that business in the town. Gort is the 5th largest town in East Galway. It's the largest town in South Galway. It's within a half an hour of Shannon Airport, Galway City, Limerick City, and within an hour of 6 third-level institutions. Yet, in 2016, we're the only town in East Galway without fibre broadband. We even lag behind villages such as Haskra, Aughrim, Ballydlunan, Crowell, Dunmore, Montpellier, etc. How are we as businesses meant to compete, attract new business into Gort without a level playing pitch? There is a glaring lack and delay in the rollout of fibre broadband in the south of the county. I have a little map. It's no coincidence that fibre broadband is available in the north and the northeastern areas of the constituency. There's no coincidence. How, if elected, do you propose ensuring Gort receives the investment and attention it equally deserves as other business communities in East Galway have? That's my question.
That the ducting is in place already here in Gort. In actual fact, it was something that would have come up at, I see Councillor Byrne there, it would have been something that would have been discussed on numerous times at our municipal meetings in relation to when we got the notification of when fibre was to be rolled out. It's my understanding, as I said already, it is in place. The ducting is here. It's only a matter of putting it further on the agenda. If I was elected as a TD here to South Galway, I would have no problem in working with whatever the other TDs to ensure that there would be a speedy delivery of broadband. You're dead right. It's actually hemorrhaging business development here in Gort.
Kieran, please. Thank you. Kieran, if you could respond. Thank you.
Yes, certainly. As Anne pointed out, we do have fibre in Gort as we speak. It's at the exchange now. And if you look at that map there, that purple little pin indicates that that would be functional within 6 months. It's just an issue of connecting the fibre that's already there to the exchange. Then that automatically increases the capacity of every single copper line going to every business within about a 2 to 3 kilometre radius. So within 6 months, we are going to have 30 to 40 megs of broadband going into every business in this town. And the reason that is happening is because we have in government prioritised the rollout of broadband to every village and town in the country, because it's not dissimilar to the electrification of the 40s and 50s. It's that critical to the development of jobs and growth in the future. So
we may need broadband, and probably that is probably the first question any, say, anchor industry might ask. But parking that and leaving that aside, has anybody anything to offer with regard to how these industries can be attracted to Gort on the assumption that broadband is now here? And can anybody kind of give me a reply to that? Okay, Colin, you put your hand.
as I said, I've got a minute again, I assume. Okay. That could happen quite quickly. As I said earlier on, John, okay, we're live again. Okay, as I said earlier on, the development of delivery of broadband to every town and village in this country is critical to the development of job creation in the future. It's as important as electrification was. And that's why it has been a priority for the government over the last 5 years. The private companies that are out there working in the commercial market are going to reach, for the most of us, those towns and villages, but there are going to be parts of rural Ireland that it won't be commercially viable to do so, and we're investing €500 million in ensuring that by 2020 every single house in this country will have an industry standard at least 30 meg connection.
But I mean, if they have located in Gort and they're still waiting on broadband, is that not a kind of a negative reaction for any other potential industries that might want to look at the area? To me, it looks like they've waited a long time, or they're going to wait as long again.
No, as I said earlier on, the fibre is here. It's in the exchange. It's just a matter of connecting it. That's the situation. Eircom confirmed that to me about 2 weeks ago. But not alone is it here, it's going to Kinvara immediately afterwards. So it's happening, it's here, and it will be in every single business within a 2 to 3 kilometre radius of the exchange.
But that's no good to us now. It's like having a good car with no diesel in it.